has a fine traditional English rugby institution just been saved? And at the same time, does it want to defect away from English rugby to the URC? There was all that talk about the Premiership and URC merger not so long ago. Now it seems like there might be one club wants nothing to do with English rugby and wants to hop over to the other side. There's a lot to unpack with this one. So thank you for watching. I'm Tim. This is Egg Chasers. Please let me know what you think down below. To the news that London Irish, which 2 years ago went into administration, went bust, got ejected from the Premiership, was no more, disbanded all of its players and staff. It's now been bought out of administration by the Jordan Group, fronted by Eddie Jordan, best known for, well, he owned a Formula One team, the Jordan F1 team, until 2005. He's got an interest in rugby, and has he just saved London Irish? And what did that mean when London Irish fans first saw this headline, and perhaps when English rugby fans saw this headline, they thought, brilliant, London Irish on a journey back to the Premiership. Well, maybe not. It may be that the URC is the destination for them. What does that mean for the Premiership and for the URC? How do London Irish fans feel about that? Would it really be London Irish? There's a lot to talk about here. I should declare an interest at this point. But people quite often say to me, Tim, do you have a team? And the answer is I don't really have a club team. And that's because, well, because I played. So I never went to watch a game on Saturdays because I was always playing. But I would basically follow whoever my brother was playing for. That's my brother. And he had a number of years, very, very happy years, playing at London Irish. So I spent many, many Saturday afternoons when I wasn't playing, watching London Irish, with more than a vested interest in it. So I will declare that I've always said if I had to pick a team, I would pick London Irish, but for that very reason. So I've very much got a soft spot for this team. So I care about this one on lots and lots of different levels. So as you can imagine, and as lots of London Irish fans and lots of rugby fans generally in England felt a couple of years ago, really sad when the financial mismanagement, instability, whatever you want to call it, meant that they could no longer take part in the Gallagher Premiership. And well, it went down to a 10-team league with also Worcester and Wasps going the same way, Jersey in the league below. Real financial problems. Absolutely gutted when that wound up. Fast forward to just a few months ago, November 2024, and a German businessman took charge of London Irish, took them out of administration, and it was thought that they were going to be part of the plans to strengthen the second tier of English rugby, and maybe with a prospect of them getting back to the Premiership eventually. I think it was this week, it might have even been yesterday, we heard that deal, that owner, that's all gone south. Eddie Jordan originally did bid for this, and his wasn't the bid that was chosen, but obviously they went back to him and said it hasn't worked out with the other guy, he's still interested, and he is. And Eddie Jordan is getting a foothold back in sport. Now, as well as Formula One, he is a rugby fan, make no mistake. He was at the Rugby World Cup 2023, here he is pictured with Keith Wood, and he also has a stake in a French club, which, as a consortium of which Eddie Jordan's group is part of it, and they own Béziers in the French second division, a brilliant rugby club. And fronting that part of the consortium are Bobby Skinstad and Andrew Mertens, a couple of big names. And it turns out, I think what they're trying to do, this group, this company, are trying to do a little bit what Manchester City have done, where Manchester City, and I'm in Manchester right now, Manchester City have obviously got their Manchester-based main club, but they've got other satellite clubs in New York, or dotted all around the world. And it looks like possibly that's what the Jordan Group are thinking. Now, I think they have split the ownership because you're not allowed to own different clubs in different countries for various reasons. So they might have, in terms of the organisation, they've split it up. But fundamentally, it's owned by the same people. Béziers in France, in the French second division, and now London Irish as well, and potentially going into the URC. Now, again, just to briefly recap what there's been a lot of talk over recent months about getting these clubs back towards the top of English rugby. Worcester, London Irish Wasps, the teams that went bust. They're brilliant, they're amazing brands, they've got fan bases. Those all the trophies that those teams have won over the years. It really carries some value. So can we get them back in the English rugby pyramid? There's been a lot of arguing about whether they should or shouldn't. There have been clubs that have gone bust in the past, and they've had to go right down to the bottom of the English pyramid and work their way all the way back up. So there was a lot of people, rightly, I think, saying, hold on, that's not really fair. They've completely mismanaged. They've left a load of people in debt. They've made businesses go under. They've ruined people's lives. And now you're just going to invite them straight back into the top. This isn't on. And I sympathise with that argument. Bottom line is there's been a lot of arguing going on in England over what should happen. And no one's actually made an agreement or a plan. So maybe London Irish are just going to do one and go to a different competition instead. And what does that mean for the Premiership? A 10-team league, is that what you want if you're a Premiership fan? I don't feel like there's enough games. For example, the last Premiership game we had was a few weeks ago. There isn't another Premiership game until nearly the end of March. It's like 2 months without any rugby. How can you sustain a business? You've got a stadium, you've got all those staff, you've got people maintaining a pitch, and there's no games happening on it, or certainly no games that big crowds of people want to go and watch. How can you possibly sustain a business under those conditions? It's an interesting one to watch. There's no doubt that the Premiership is a brilliant competition in terms of competitiveness, in terms of being attractive to watch every game. It really means something, maybe with the exception of Newcastle Falcons, but even they've been better this year. However, I think this will be a bit of a body blow for English rugby. I think the move to the URC for London Irish, and again, I declare my interest here. I really care about what happens to this club, but I also care about English rugby and the English national team. I think this could be a smart move all round. Firstly, Harlequins are already a Premiership club in southwest London, and London Irish were like the poor, they were like the runt of the litter. Harlequins, the shiny, trendy, fashionable, popular club, and London Irish were just the runt. Just, didn't have as big a crowd, didn't have as much money, and they're fishing in the same pond. And I'm not sure that's necessarily a good thing in the Premiership. Whereas London Irish in the URC, that would be the only representative from London in that competition. I mean, that is something. So rather than trying to only get Premiership fans when there's already clubs on your patch, trying to get fans of the URC in London, that could make a lot of sense. Now, London, one thing that has got going for it is a huge diaspora of rugby fans from all around the globe. Think about it. So how many South African rugby fans are there in London? So whether they support London Irish or whether they absolutely pack the stadium out when the Stormers or the Sharks or the Lions or the Bulls come to town, now we're talking, there's a whole lot of people from Scotland in London when Glasgow Warriors and Edinburgh Rugby come to town. Same goes with Welsh folk in London when their regions come to town, Italians in London. Point being, one of the things London Irish always struggled to get, it had a core fan base, but it didn't have a broader fan base, and they were always trying to tap into the big diaspora. They called themselves the Exiles, because not just Irish community, and there's a lot of Irish folk. Oh, goodness me, how can I not even mention the Irish folk? I mean, that have a connection with London Irish already. And then when Leinster come to town, and Munster, and Connacht, and Ulster, and Northern Ireland, obviously. Now we're talking. So even if they didn't fully follow London Irish, it would be packed with away fans. I mean, their money's as good as anyone else's. They buy beer as well. So I think it could make a lot of sense. And when you look around, you've seen that just to tap into this audience of rugby fans from around the globe in London, South Africa have played Wales at Twickenham last year. They're playing they're playing Argentina in an actual rugby championship game, not a friendly, a rugby championship game at Twickenham this year, which is massive. And that just goes to show how many South Africans and Argentinians and just general rugby fans from around the world there are that would go and watch a game. So I think London Irish and this new Eddie Jordan group might be looking at stories like this and thinking, I think there could be a business here. But how do you make room, if it were to happen, how do you make room for London Irish in the URC? Well, there's been talk about Zebre going south a little bit, them having to reorganize it. Is another franchise going to take its place? Where are they going to base themselves? All the rest of it. It could be that Italy just go, do you know what? If another team wants to come and take our spot, we're fine, we're done. And then what would happen? Would it be Scotland, London, and Benetton? Be a bit of an odd shield, but it could be done. Alternatively, I mean, there's been a lot of people with the situation going on in Wales thinking they need to drop the number of regions. 4 is too many. They can't sustain it. They should go down to 2 or 3. And maybe this might be the motivation if Wales were to say, hold on a minute, if we drop one of our regions, get London Irish in to an Anglo-Welsh shield, that might be good for business for us. And that's a way that we could drop one region and sell a good story that we're actually building something, but whilst we're actually getting rid of something. So I think that could be a way to go. Equally, I wonder if this were to fly, whether you suddenly get Worcester Warriors looking at this, or whoever owns the brand of Worcester Warriors now looking at this and going, we're right on the border of Wales. Maybe we could join the URC as well. And you could have 2 English clubs, 2 Welsh clubs, make 4 regions into 2 in Wales, 2 English in the URC, 1 close to the border of Wales, near the Midlands, not too far away from Birmingham, almost, one of England's second cities, and then 1 in London. Could be potentially onto something. I think this might have legs to run. Of course, what could be going on here is that Eddie Jordan might be trying to call the RFU's bluff, or the Premiership Rugby's bluff, and threaten to join the URC in order that they might actually negotiate a route straight to the top table in the Premiership. Could be a bit of horse trading going on, but it's an interesting one to watch, and I would love to know what you think, and what you think's, whether you think it's good, bad, or you're indifferent. Whether you don't want English teams on your patch if you're a URC fan, or whether, if you're a Premiership fan, you're starting to get a little itchy about where the balance of power might be heading. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Give the video a thumbs up and hit subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.